Hey guys, it's Kirsten. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to talk about the supplies I'm going to be using for Inktober 2019. Last year I did a video talking about the supplies I was going to use and they were a lot different than what I'm using this year. If you want to watch that video, I'll link it right up here so you can check out what I used last year. But this year I'm using a different set of tools, mostly because I'm going to be traveling a lot this month and I'm kind of going to be really busy and on the go. So I wanted to use supplies that were going to be a lot easier to carry with me and use kind of when I'm in a rush. If you're not familiar with Inktober, Inktober is a yearly drawing challenge that happens every October. It was originally created by an artist named Jake Parker, and every year he releases an official Inktober prompt with a different theme every single day. And the goal is to create a new drawing every single day of the month of October, following those themes using ink. Since he first created it, it's really kind of blossomed from there. A lot of people create their own prompts. A lot of people use different mediums besides just ink. I myself use both ink and markers as well as paints and things like that. So there's a lot of room for freedom. And in addition to the original Inktober prompt, a lot of people create their own prompts every year. I myself did create a prompt this year. I started doing that a couple of years ago. So I will link down to my Inktober post on my Instagram page as well as show my prompt list right here so you can see what I will be working with this year. If you're interested in following along with some or any of my ideas, you're welcome to use my hashtag, which I will put right here, and make sure to post it on Instagram with that hashtag so I can see your guys' drawings and share some of them on my stories. So now I'm going to talk about the supplies that I'm going to be using, and keep in mind this is just what I'm using. It's very different than what I used last year. A lot of people just use whatever they're most comfortable with, so don't feel like you have to use exactly what I'm using. Even though there is a traditional way to do Inktober, I feel like if you put too many restrictions on it, it really takes the fun out of it and it becomes kind of like a thing you have to do. So I think people enjoy it a lot more, especially if it's your first time, if you do it in a way that's fun for you and that's inspiring for you. So don't make it too difficult on yourself. Don't make it too complicated. The idea is to just draw a whole bunch in October. So for paper, I'm actually going to be using my Arteza watercolor paper, and I started using this recently and I found that it takes quite a few different mediums really well. It obviously works really well for watercolors, but I've also found that it takes markers pretty well. It doesn't bleed through a whole lot. So let me pull up a sample here for you. This one's already partially used, but I'll probably use a brand new one that I have for Inktober. But this is a marker drawing that I did, and you can see on the back side, focus. On the back side, it almost didn't bleed through at all, which is great, so I don't have to put anything on the other side so it doesn't like bleed onto the next page. Though because it does bleed a tiny bit, I'm not going to be able to use the pages double-sided, unfortunately. But this paper takes markers really well, so this is just the Arteza 5.5 by 8.5 inch watercolor paper, and this is a 140-pound watercolor paper if you're interested, and I believe it's cold press. And if you're not familiar between cold and hot press watercolor paper tends to have more texture to it. It's not so smooth, and I really like that with my paper. So that's the sketchbook I'm going to be using. I love the size. This fits in my purse so I can carry it with me everywhere. I've mentioned this a million times before in my different tools videos and stuff, but I will be doing all of my drawing with, focus that there. Sorry for my giant band-aid, by the way. I got into a fight with a knife when I was making dinner. I will be drawing with a Lavender Prismacolor Col-Erase pencil. This is the only thing I sketch in nowadays. I buy these in bulk. They're my favorite pencil. It's currently in, this one is in a drawing pencil extender. I don't know if you can see it. It's not going to focus very well. There we go. This is the pencil extender. You can buy these when your pencils get too short, and then you could still continue to use them even when they're like little nubs. And then just a regular eraser. I don't remember where I got this. It's just a regular eraser. And that's it for sketching. That's the only pencil I really use. So I just have a bunch of them that I throw in my bag. For the actual inking itself, I use two different technical pens. These are, again, let me get this to focus. Whoop. There we go. I use Micron Pens and Le Pen drawing pens. I feel like everyone's heard of Micron Pens before. These are kind of your standard technical pens. You can get these at any art supply store. You can also even buy them at like office supply stores. I think I've seen these sold at Target. So these are your most common ones. I also use another brand called Le Pen Drawing, and truth be told, I think these are super comparable. I think they're almost identical. It's just the pen body is a little bit longer and thicker on this one, but the Le Pen ones are a little bit cheaper than Microns. And when I draw a lot, I blow through these pens really fast. I tend to wear down the nibs, they run out of ink, and so since I buy them so frequently, the Le Pens just save me a little bit of money down the line, but they both perform, in my opinion, almost the same. So I will use them interchangeably. The most common size I'm going to be using is the 01. I don't know if you can see that, is the 01, and then also an 005. Those are my most commonly used sizes, but I have like a huge collection of these, and I'll just kind of throw a few of them into my bag and have them with me. And then for actual coloring this year, I am going back to using Copic markers. So last year I used traditional inks, like actual little vials of ink, but in the years prior to that, I was using Copic markers. And I'm going back to that this year because, as I said, I'm going to be traveling a lot. I'm kind of going to be on the go. I'm going to be really busy. I just started a new job. So these I can carry in my bag. I don't need to worry about ink spilling. I don't need to worry about having, you know, like a little dish of water or a brush to like use ink. So these are just super convenient. If you haven't used Copic markers before, they are one of my favorite brands of markers out there. These particular ones are the brush tip ones. Let me put this back here. Yeah, these are the brush tip ones. So not the like this, if you're familiar with Copics, there's like the Chows, which are like the skinnier, smaller ones. They're the standard Copic markers, which are like square shaped, and they have a chisel tip and a fine tip. And then these ones are the Copic sketch markers. And one end is a brush, which I really like. This is the end I use for pretty much everything. And then they also have a chisel tip. So I will be using these. I decided to go with like a color theme this year. In the years prior where I've also used Copic markers, I picked like just a handful of colors and used just those colors for the entire month because it kept it really simple and made all of the drawings really cohesive. So I will be doing that again this year, and I think I've settled on the colors I'm going to be using. In addition to like just straight black, I will probably also throw in a couple of gray tones, but I haven't decided. But I am going to go with like a lavender, dropping stuff everywhere. Ugh. I'm also going to go with a lavender and pink theme. So I don't know if you'll be able to see those. Focus, focus. There we go. So I'm going to go with a lavender and pink theme. 2 years ago, I did like a coral and mint theme. And the year before that, I did purple and gold, I believe. So this year I picked R20 blush, BV23 grayish lavender, and BV31 pale lavender, and I'm going to use these in conjunction with like black and maybe a couple of grays to give it like a cohesive feel. I also kind of specifically picked these because they happen to be colors that I have refills of. If you don't know, Copic markers have refill inks, so you can keep refilling these instead of buying new markers every time. And I happen to have refill colors for these ones, so that way if they run out halfway through the month, I can refill them. So that was just convenient, but I do think it's a very pretty color combination. So I will list those down below as well if you're interested in looking at the same colors. But that's it for the coloring aspect. The last thing I always add to my drawings is white highlights, and sometimes I will use a white charcoal pencil or a white like pastel pencil, and the one that I use, let me find it over here, the one that I use is a Faber Castell Pit Pastel white pencil, and this is just a white pastel pencil, and I'll use this for like more subtle highlights and stuff, like shaded highlights. And then if I want really bright, stark highlights, I will just use white acrylic paint. This is nothing fancy. This is Craftsmart. You can buy this at Michael's for like $1. So I use white acrylic paint and then a super tiny little, I don't know if you can see this here. Focus, focus. It might not focus. Oh, there it is. Okay, yeah. A super tiny, tiny fine brush. And so I will bring these around with me. And I don't even need like a mixing dish, because what I will do is shake it a little bit and then open the cap. And then there's just enough white paint on the inside of the cap to like dip into. And then I could just wipe this off on like a napkin or something, and then I'm ready to go. Can throw it back in my bag. So that's actually it. Like I said, I'm not using a ton of supplies this year. All of this is gonna fit easily into a small bag or a purse or something like that, so I can always carry it with me and draw when I'm running around. Don't be limited by what I'm using or what someone else is using. You really do have a lot of freedom to draw what you want to draw. So if this is your first year doing it, don't be intimidated. I promise it's really fun. If you find a few different prompts that you really like, you're welcome to mix and match. There's no right or wrong way to do it. If you're kind of torn on doing Inktober because you don't want to feel like you're limited to using ink, a couple other really common ones in October are Drawloween, and there's another one. I forget what it is. If I remember it, I will put it down below, but there are a couple different October themed drawing challenges out there. So don't feel like you have to even do Inktober. You could just do any other drawing challenge that you want. And like I said, the goal is just to get people to draw a whole lot more. It's a really fun time on Instagram. If you follow the hashtags, you get to see a ton of cool art. It's a really great time to talk to people online and meet other artists and stuff. So if you've never tried it before, I highly recommend it. If you have done it before, I hope you are as excited about it as I am. It is absolutely one of my favorite times of the year. Not only because October is the best month of the year, but because I really enjoy this drawing challenge. I've been doing it this will be my 6th year that I'm doing it. All right, and I think that's it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope some of you found it helpful. Go ahead and like this video down below if you liked it, and go ahead and subscribe to my channel if you'd like to see more videos like this. Go ahead and leave a comment down below for any videos you'd like to see in the future, and I will do my best to make them happen. And until my next video, I hope you guys have a great day. Bye!